Does this sound familiar to you? Your company is pouring tons of money and resources into SEO. You've got endless reports, a backlog of tickets that seems to stretch for miles, and a lot of people who are very busy. And yet, when you step back and look at the actual results, not much is really happening, is it? It's one of the biggest frustrations in big organizations today.
So let's just get right into the heart of it. The argument here is really powerful. The problem isn't usually the SEO tactics themselves, the keywords, the content, the links. No, the problem is the entire system. Like the slide says, a lot of teams are basically set up to lose from the get-go. Not because they're bad at their jobs, but because of the very structure of the company they work in.
So what is this big structural problem? Well, it really all boils down to one simple but incredibly powerful idea: the difference between working upstream and working downstream. And as we're about to see, in most large companies, SEO is stuck, like really stuck, firmly in that downstream role.
Now, what's so great about this slide is how it frames these two worlds. You've got upstream, which is all proactive. It's about architecture, it's about being a planning partner. And then you have downstream, which is completely reactive. It's all inspection and cleanup. The source material uses this brilliant analogy. It's like most SEO teams are being asked to constantly clean poisoned water from a river instead of being allowed to go upstream and stop the factory from dumping poison in the first place.
And here is the absolute key. Modern search, and this is especially true with AI, it doesn't reward the downstream cleanup crew. It rewards the upstream architects. The ones who build a strong, clean foundation right from the very beginning. Today's performance is shaped by those really early decisions about information structure, about data models, things that are often decided long before the SEO team even gets a seat at the table. Okay, so if SEO is stuck downstream, what does that actually look like day to day? Well, it turns out there are 4 really common but fundamentally broken ways that companies operate. These models trap enterprise SEO teams and just stop them from having any real impact. Let's walk through them.
First up, we have what is probably the most common broken model you'll ever find: the audit factory. So in the audit factory, the SEO team gets really good at one thing: finding problems. They run crawls, they produce these super detailed reports, they identify all the issues, but here's the catch: they have absolutely zero power to prevent those problems from just happening again and again. The root causes never get fixed, and eventually, the poor development teams just start to see SEO as this machine that does nothing but generate more and more tickets for their backlog.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures the failure of this model. I mean, everyone is busy, right? Reports are flying around, meetings are happening, tickets are getting filed. But is anything actually getting better? Nope. The organization is just mistaking all of that activity for actual impact.
All right, next up is a close cousin to the audit factory. We're calling this model the ticket desk.
In this model, the SEO team basically operates like an internal help desk. They spot a problem, they file a ticket, and poof, it just disappears into this massive queue competing with hundreds of other projects. Since they have no built-in priority, they become what the source calls a beggar in the backlog, literally having to plead for their fixes to get done. And that can take months if they get done at all.
This kind of dysfunction can also pop up in how teams are organized across the globe. And that brings us to our third broken model: the local islands. This is a classic problem in big multinational companies.
So here's the scenario. A central team might create these excellent global SEO standards. But the local market teams, the ones who actually control the websites, they just do their own thing. Local priorities always win out. And the result? It's total fragmentation. You end up with duplicated work, conflicting strategies all over the world, which sends these incredibly confusing signals to search engines.
And finally, we have a model that on paper looks amazing but almost always fails in practice: the orphaned Center of Excellence. The company sets up a Center of Excellence, or a COE, to define best practices and train everybody. Sounds great, doesn't it? The problem is, this group has zero enforcement power. They publish their guidelines, and those guidelines are quietly ignored, because speed and getting stuff out the door always wins. SEO becomes recommended, not required, and the COE just ends up as a sad digital library of forgotten best practices.
So we've just looked at 4 models that seem pretty different on the surface, but as you've probably guessed, they all fail for the same fundamental reasons. Let's take a look at those common structural flaws.
This table just sums it all up perfectly. The audit factory has visibility but no authority. The ticket desk has no priority. The local islands have no unified control. And the orphaned co no enforcement power. Do you see the pattern here? In every single one of these broken models, SEO is reactive, it's totally dependent on other teams, and worst of all, it's held accountable for outcomes it has no real power to influence.
Now, if you thought these problems were frustrating before, this is where things get really serious. The rapid rise of AI-driven search is turning these structural flaws from just being an inconvenience into a potential catastrophe for brands. And here's why this is so critical. AI search is fundamentally different. It's not just ranking individual web pages based on links and keywords anymore. It's trying to understand your entire website as a single coherent system. It rewards things like clean architecture and machine-readable clarity, all stuff that can only be built in from the start upstream. In this slide right here highlights the most critical shift you need to get your head around. In the old world of SEO, the risk was getting a penalty. Yeah, your rankings might drop, but you could usually recover. The new risk is so much worse. It's total exclusion. If an AI system can't confidently make sense of your messy, inconsistent website, it won't just demote you. It might just ignore you altogether.
So, all of this forces us to completely rethink where SEO even belongs in a modern organization. And we're talking about more than just a bigger budget or some new shiny tools.
So, the most important point is this. Enterprise SEO struggles are almost never about a lack of effort or skill. They are organizational design failures disguised as execution problems. The reality is, most companies never truly built SEO into their core workflows. Instead, they just kind of bolted it on at the end as another review step. And that model is now completely obsolete.
And that leaves us with the one question that every single business leader needs to be asking themselves right now. Where does SEO truly belong in your organization? Is it a downstream cleanup crew forever just reacting to decisions that other people made? Or is it an upstream architectural partner, helping you build a foundation that's actually ready for an AI-first world? The entire future of your brand's visibility hangs on that answer.